We're continuing, as always, to evaluate the tools that we have. But I think the simplest way to think about your questions is, in my role in particular, is you got to have your HRIS. It's got to perform some key functions and interactions with staff. I tend to lead towards, and this is true more broadly in tech, I think people are embracing multi-point solutions, not a single point. Like single point to me is tough. Like it has to be something really, really particular. Maybe it's surveying or something like that with staff where you go single point, but HRIS is critical. So performance, comp, learning and development, workforce management, and what do they call it? They say workforce management, time and attendance, all those things, like those core processes, and making sure it's fluid. Now, you could have an applicant tracking system, because I know there are some ones out there that people are like, this is my favorite, I'll never part with it. As long as it integrates with the mothership, we don't have no problem. I like to try to see if you can get that into the HRIS too, but if it's important to you, and look, like candidate experience is super critical. Like sometimes HRIS providers are not always the best equipped to provide the very best tool, because their tool has to do so much all the time, along with being incredibly secure. So I'd say those things are really huge. And then you have other tools. Well, one, comms is such an important part of people and culture. So you're not doing this right if you don't think that the email and messaging and sort of virtual meeting tools that you have at your organization aren't part of that stack, because you're constantly communicating with people. You're constantly trying to make sure they have context, or they have the information when they need to, or because of California fires, trying to ensure that they're safe where they are, or, so on and so forth. So that enablement is really key too, is like, it's all a part of it. And if you aren't using those tools to their maximum benefit, then you're behind. And that's something I learned actually during COVID, using Slack so much and using Gmail. Is like, I'm just throwing stuff out there, and I'm not going like, well, what's the optimum way to get the best out of this? Because I got to send at least, I don't even know how many emails to all staff, or to our senior leaders, or to our C-suite all the time. But I'm just out here just throwing things out and not even looking to see if the call went in. I'm just, so I think your tech stack any tech stack can be awesome. I think the most friction is going to come from how many solutions you put into one. And then when you keep them separate, is it an intentional choice, or are you just sort of maintaining what you've inherited, right? And you always want to make intentional choices that add up, one, to less friction for your staff who has to administer the tools, and then certainly less friction and a great interface for your employees.